So we are here with Jake at his place doing some filming for his channel. We'll throw a link somewhere down there because I don't know the name of it unless he knows it.
Otherwise known as Dash Retro. Possibly.
There we go. There'll be a link down there on the bottom. And of course, fellow extreme hardcore nerd Mikey. We're doing a two-part episode here. We're going to be talking about video games and we're going to talk about wrestling. So if you like either of those, stay tuned. Be sure. We're going to talk ideas. Our first idea is a deal breaker. What's something in a game that you've maybe encountered that you can't get past it? Me personally, the most recent Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, it's the voice acting. Something to me personally is just off with it. Maybe it's because I'm used to David Hayter, maybe it's something else, but I tried giving the game a chance and it just, I don't know. Something isn't sitting right to the point where I just personally can't play it, at least at the $60 price tag. Do you have any games that maybe something you've played that there's just a moment where something's just not sitting right anymore?
I tried to play Transistor, and the sword companion that you have with you just will not shut up.
Hey, Red. We're not gonna get away with this, are we?
It's like I'm playing. It's like I'm playing original Peter Dinklage Destiny all over again.
Nice.
So, think you can kill a god?
Where I have,
no patch for this one?
Yeah, I have the silent main character and this... It's the smallest things, like you unlock a door.
That's what we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, you unlock a door and he goes, yeah, good job, let's go. It's like,
Nice.
that's completely worthless. You don't need to... Oh, it's just... It's constant. I couldn't handle it.
All right. Do you have a game, maybe something you've played that's just...
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you. The sword is really, really annoying.
I haven't played it yet, but I'll definitely give it a shot.
To me, it's got to be like... So, like, the soundtrack has, to me, like, has
Music
to
can make
go...
or break, yeah.
It has to go with, like, the feel of the game. Like in horror genre. So I was playing Silent Hill Shattered Memories, and there's just a point when you get to the school where it's like playing all this super happy joy, like musical sensational garbage, and it just
takes you out of the field.
This is not horror to me. It feels like, and there's not even like, a memory that pops up there, which is part of the game, is like where you walk through and you hit these random like memory things, and it's just like completely ruins the game.
Well, it just takes you out of the experience.
It's like, yeah, like you just said, it just literally just erases what you're doing, and it's just like, well, here you go, and that to me, like, I feel like when you're playing a game, you're supposed to be captivated and involved in it instead of like, and be a part of it instead of just like, well, we're going to keep you captivated to here, and then we're going to completely remove your table and just let you walk forward.
I had a very similar experience with Corpse Party, if you played that.
On the PSP?
Yeah, it's a PSP horror game. It was made in RPG Maker. But the problem with me was that it had this like techno soundtrack where when you're walking down the hall, it's just like... And then, but then, when something scary is about to happen, the music fades out and it gets quiet. And then you know.
Yep.
Then you know, oh, something scary is going to happen. Oh, there it was. Wasn't scared because the music faded out and gave it away.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I think it hits a lot in the horror genre where that happens. And it's like another game is like Parasite Eve. Like, it'll be like scary music and you'll go into a fight and it will be like completely like uplifting, like Final Fantasy fanfare fight music will happen. You're just like, I went from being mildly scared to now I have to fight, and then after that it's like back to like a horror sounding music.
Yeah, horror is a really touchy genre.
Oh yeah,
everything needs to be just right, or it's just the whole thing doesn't feel right.
Absolutely agree, and I think that's where like the point will come from. Like,
okay,
that genre kills games left and right. Like, great concept, absolutely murdered.
Good examples, right?
What's next?
Next topic we're going to discuss is no longer deal breakers, but we're going to talk about key features, something that maybe multiple games have used it, something simple, something complex, but it just makes the game feel much better. Me personally, it's not just lighting, flashlights. I love when a flashlight in a game is done amazingly. Alan Wake did a great job of it.
It's all in your head.
Even, not The Darkness, of course, I can't think of the own game. Alone in the Dark, there we go, did a great job with how light and flashlights and fire affected your enemies. It's one of those features, if it's done well, it can be amazing. So do you have a feature, something, maybe a pattern that you've seen in games, but you see it, you love it. It's just that type of feature. I love flashlights in games. What do you love in games?
I really like if I'm playing an RPG and you're gaining experience and you're leveling up. If you also have the ability to gain stat points by means other than leveling up. And I'm
Okay.
talking about permanent upgrades.
Kind of like Skyrim did, where like the more you use your bow, the better archery you get. Maybe a little bit more complex.
Well, that's just leveling up.
Okay,
for
you're just
Skyrim.
talking straight level.
So there's an example. There's a game called Vindictus.
Okay.
That
So we're looking for examples.
it has all these, basically what they are achievements, which is, kill this many guys by hitting them with physics objects or that kind of thing. Just all these different, basically, achievements. But whenever you achieve one of them, you actually get a permanent stat upgrade on your character, like +1 strength or something, But
Okay.
it's permanent. And you can do that without leveling up. And so if
Nice.
you get all of them, you have all these stat upgrades. It's cool.
Yeah.
The badass points in Borderlands.
I was gonna call it Piss for Brains in honor of you, but that just feels immature. Hey, maybe Butt Stallion?
That's a good.
example of that.
Or I was gonna say, would it be like the social networking points in like Persona?
Yeah.
Like where you level up and then you get the bond where if you like are using a persona that like type of person would like for instance like the Sandman for the kids who are athletic in your social network, you'd get bonus points with them.
I never linked those two things, but I do really like Persona, so you might have something there.
Okay.
So you love a game that does a level up system just beyond your average leveling up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Permanent stat upgrades.
Permanent static race, good way to call it. Do you have anything, or I know you're a big RPG player.
Oh, so my thing is gonna be because you touched on lighting. I
Mhm.
think that's a really good point. But color palette.
Okay.
And like how vivid you can make an image. Like it's a shot in the dark compared to like most other games. But games like Mirror's Edge, where it's so bright and you're just like running around and everything's really really lit. But there's just a point like where if you fall off a building before you go splat, the lights completely fade to gray and then
Well,
the
just overall,
lights shut out.
You kind of tunnel vision.
Yeah,
for a
you go,
second.
Okay.
and I'm just like, that's a cool feature in a game. Like some first person shooters try it, like where you get hit and blood spatters all over your screen. But like, it's just like, for in that grade, like there are the few games that have done like the tunnel vision before death thing, and it's just awesome. Like if especially in like a first person motion, in my opinion, I think like the using of like the bright colors and when you die it like fades to black. It's cool.
Okay.
I think I have maybe a better one than what I originally
By all
said.
means.
I really like a good boss battle. And there's what I like in a big boss battle is a big health bar across the bottom of the screen.
You want to know what you're actually doing to them?
Yeah, it makes the boss encounter so much more like special and memorable for some reason to me when you have a big health bar, especially when you know the name of the boss as well.
Yeah.
It's got to give it a title. Here's the guy, he roars at you, and
Or in Borderlands case, one-liners.
yeah, and then big health bar and maybe its own theme song as well. Like all these things together can make a boss just really, really stick with you.
Real quick on that, what do you think of then the rule of three? Because obviously, every gamer should know the rule of three. I shouldn't have to explain it, but I have a feeling I do. Mario is notorious. For people watching, it means you have to hit your enemy 3 times. They have 3 stages, usually 3 hits. Mario is probably the most notorious for it. What do you think of the rule of 3 over what you described as your health bar, big names?
There's a time and a place for the rule of 3, but I don't prefer it.
Okay.
I would say almost all the time I would prefer a big health bar.
Yeah.
Now the worst thing is when they try to do both. And
Yeah.
you'll have a big health
Yeah.
bar, but the boss will get into some dazed form, at which point they'll just wait for you to hit them down to a pre-designated amount of health, and then they'll resume.
Yeah.
And it's basically the rule of 3.
It still is.
Yeah.
It's
One of my current favorite games that I'm playing, Jamestown, is the shmup on the PS4, and I think it's also on Steam. Maybe I'm not sure about
I
that.
think so.
Yep.
I
But
know what you mean. I haven't played it yet.
when you get to the end of the level and you fight the boss, like they have like all these different stages, and in level number 2, the boss is named the Lady of the Lake, and she changes like 4 times, and I'm just like, can you die already? Because you're shooting her, and like you're using your specials and your shield, and you're watching your life go down, and it will like pause and she'll change into something else. I completely agree with it. Rule 3 is cool for
It
its
has its
necessary.
place,
It has
but
its place,
I
but
hate
I'd
when
much prefer it without it. Like,
well, and there's those times that you stumble upon it when you don't know it's the rule of 3, but you hit him. Oh, we're getting 2. Yep, 1 more, and he's done. It's just the games that use it that way. It's kind of
yeah, it's there.
It seems like a cop out.
I'll add into something because I know you like Persona. For instance, like when you're battling some of the shadows, like specifically in the Yuiko castle, you fight them and you get like a good fight, and I would prefer them to run away and then have to fight them again later versus change form. And I think that's one thing that game did, where you had to fight that shadow 3 times instead of, oh, I changed form. I'd rather like be like, oh, you're running away from me, and then get more story out of it than fight, change form in the middle of battle.
Well, in Yukiko's castle, it was 3 different people. First, you fought a shadow that was just her bodyguard. Then you fought Chie's shadow, and then you fought Yukiko's shadow. So they were all.
It was a modified, but you still had.
It's like a
I see where
modified
you're both
version of
coming
it.
from.
Like I think I would like that more versus than
Okay.
I beat the enemy. It turns into the same thing but it picks up a shield or something. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'd rather get like a graduated story out of it. So Rule 3 takes its place, but I think I'm better off without it.
What's also fun is when they give you something that really obviously seems like the rule of 3, but then they make it 4.
Yeah, when they're parodying it just because.
Agreed.